Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be. My name is Kuldip Sandhu, and I'd like to welcome you all to our virtual summit. Our presentation and our discussion today is all centered around giving fantastic digital experiences. And we're going to be talking about how digital transformation simulation trading provides an experiential learning experience for people in organizations to understand the impact and the interaction of business with IT in a virtual environment. And I'm delighted to be joined by my colleague, Steve Sheppard from L&Q Housing in this summit. The agenda or the contents of our presentation and discussion is highlighted here on this slide. We'll do some introductions. I'll give you a quick overview, which I've just done. And then I'm going to talk a little bit around digital transformation and the impact of COVID-19 on business and IT, and some of the survey results that we've seen that sort of highlight some of the challenges and some of the opportunities that the pandemic has brought and what it's accelerated. And then they're going to lay down some of the foundations for digital transformation, and it being a very complex beast, if you want to call it. And then sort of highlighting the value and the benefits of digital transformation simulation training, and bringing in Steve at this stage to get his perspective of the simulation training that they ran at L&Q and the value and the benefits they've realized, and some of the next steps and opportunities. It's a little bit about me. I'm a digital IT transformation specialist. I've been in the IT and digital industry for 6 years now. As you can see, I've worked across a number of sectors, public and private, from the UK MOD to global leading management consultancies such as PWC, and over the last 5 or 6 years, under my brand of IQS, Innovative Quality Solutions, I've been undertaking a number of interim head of technology, CIO, leadership roles, where I've utilized some of the tools and techniques that we're going to talk about today. And at this point, I wanted to hand over to Steve to maybe introduce himself.
Thanks, Kuldip. Essentially, I'm a commercially driven and strategically focused service management professional with experience of managing large IT service management organizations in both the private and public sectors. I'm ITIL qualified. I've held senior service management positions within organizations such as PWC, Bank of America, Standard Chartered Bank, JP Morgan, and in the public sector, Coventry City Council. That's prior to my current role in L&Q. Plus, I have vast international experience within Europe, the Asia Pacific region, and Africa in consolidating, centralizing, rationalizing IT organizations whilst driving major improvements in service quality. Thanks.
Thank you, Steve. Delighted to have you here to talk through the simulation training that you've been utilizing at L&Q. So let's put some context and some foundations in place. I wanted to show everybody this survey. It's the PWC CEO survey that was issued in March, based on 5,000 plus responses gathered in January and February this year. And the question that was asked was, how do senior executives plan to continue their investments following due to the impact of COVID-19 over the next 3 years? And what I wanted to point everybody to, there's various buckets here, but if you look on the far left-hand side, you've got digital transformation, and you've got in orange 49% say there's going to be significant increases in investments greater than 10% in digital, and 10% and 34% of respondents saying there'll be a moderate increase between 3 and 9%. But it's the largest bucket area. Whilst there are other initiatives, but digital transformation is going to be the primary driver for change in organizations. And I think, it's fair to say, if we look at the next slide, that digital transformation has been accelerated by the impact of COVID-19. This is a little LinkedIn survey of 375 participants, and really they, as COVID-19 hit, and as we moved to remote working, and a lot of organizations were delivering products and services online, they had to. It wasn't a case of wanting to. There wasn't a strategic imperative mandate from COVID-19 to work remotely and deliver things in a different way. And that is likely to continue as we enter the new norm post the pandemic. I think it's also important to just talk a little bit around digital transformation and what does it mean. It means many things to many people. Organizations that transcend a digital transformation journey are usually working in a sector where they're getting disrupted by new entrants, new digital natives, which can deliver products and services quicker, faster, better, with better customer satisfaction. So organizations, and that was pre-COVID, and with the onset of COVID-19 and the impact it's having, we know that there's a number of stages or foundational areas that need to be put in place for that transformation. And you can see there's 4 areas here. Planning is really, really important to understand where you are so that you can then determine where you want to go and have a roadmap. Thinking about ideation and the scope of the change that you're looking at, what new products and services that give you differentiation in the marketplace, and how you're going to design and architect that and plan forward. I think transformational leadership is paramount, sponsorship top down, so that people understand that this is something that's being led from the top. And it also sets expectations. I think there's a need to really ensure that whilst internally we might be going on a change, that it actually meets the needs of customers or end users, and understanding the market that you work within and the external factors is important, because there's always change from technology adoption or a pandemic, and being able to pivot or change quickly is really important. And certainly for leadership, they really want to see the value and the benefits and the return of investment of a significant change program. And that requires business and IT to work together, and then delivering that implementation, solutioning, and reporting it with suppliers and customers, so that that value is delivered. But to make that happen, organizations really need to also put in together organizational change practices. What I mean by that is having an operating model which is constantly changing, but having a culture and behavior that has a change mentality, continuing communication so that people are aware of the change, what the benefits are, and staff with their new capabilities are allowed to experiment and they're empowered for the change. And stakeholders are continually communicated in terms of what's happening, where we're going, how the value and the benefits, and steering accordingly. And the reason I wanted to bring that to the fore is there's some of the survey results brings out some of the challenges that we've seen in this space. Here, what we can see is the survey results from December 2020, when we went out and said, what are the key impediments of digital transformation? And what you can see, culture or the behaviors or the mindset of leadership is so important to drive that change. As we also see in a second survey that was issued in January, and again, culture and behavior right across the organization, and the desire and the will to transform is absolutely important. But as organizations, because we're people-centric, it's very difficult to get everybody aligned, and sometimes organizations really need an intervention. As we can see in this survey, again, cultural change, being able to identify where there's pockets of resistance and giving them hope and demystifying the change that's happening is really important. And it was based on these survey results about a year ago we decided that we wanted to build a platform, a training platform that could be conducted and delivered in a virtual way to help achieve a number of aims. We wanted to demystify how digital transformation works and how the business and IT interact. So it would help with team building, it would help with breaking silos, and also to be able to replicate potentially the results of your business as you grow and seeing them before you actually realizing them. So you actually can make some informed decisions around the improvement plan or the change and digital transformation plan that you might want to go on, so that you can see the results before you actually go and play them in your own organization. So we developed a virtual digital transformation simulation platform and training delivered virtually in a workshop environment to show how IT in the operations stability phase and in development in the agile phase, how do those two entities work and impact the business when you're bringing stability to existing services and then bringing in new services to bring agile new services live. But we want to do it in an interactive way so that you can bring people together to build and do some team building, breaking silos. And it's this platform that has now, as we've entered in the marketplace, is helping organizations to plan for the future. And just setting some context around gamification or this simulation training, gamification simulation trainings have been around for 10, 15 years. Many of them were in-house, i.e. Delivered in teams of 10, 15 in classroom-based. And as we've moved from in-room and classroom and into a virtual world, we developed this simulation training and took it out to the market in January. And one of the first clients that has we've helped to deliver the training to is London and Quadrant Housing, where we've delivered 2 sets of training already to senior IT leaders. And this is why I wanted to now bring in Steve, because Steve's been a supporter of this, but also wanted to get his perspective on why did they go for simulation training and some of the value and the benefits. So Steve, I wonder if I can just hand over to you to just give to kick off the discussion, to tell us a little bit about why did you go down the route of using this platform for simulation training?
Okay, thanks again, Kuldip. It's one of those things that if you ask a number of people in a room what DevOps and ITSM actually are, each one will come up with a different but equally right answer. So what do DevOps and ITSM really mean? And this is where virtual simulation training really adds value. At its most basic sense, DevOps is a collaborative approach that unifies the development and operations teams in an organization. And of course, ITSM is the de facto industry standard for building and managing world-class IT services organizations. Together, they change how the two teams go about performing their tasks. Contrary to popular belief, DevOps and ITSM are not just about tools and processes. The virtual simulation training really provides a full appreciation that DevOps and ITSM are cultures, philosophies that change how different teams in a company work to achieve business goals. There are virtually innumerable benefits that DevOps and ITSM bring to the table when each of the development and ops teams work in collaboration with common goals.
Thank you for that, Steve. I wonder if you can elaborate on the workshops and particularly how the training sort of focused on end user and business needs value.
Well, customer satisfaction is one of those things that can make or break a business. It's crucial for your business to thrive because winning new customers and or increasing end user satisfaction is considerably more expensive than retaining the existing ones. One of the core benefits of DevOps, thankfully, is enhanced customer experience and ultimately customer satisfaction. Feedback loops with full customer participation are an important component of any DevOps adoption. In most cases of enterprise software development, feedback loops enable customers to track the progress of the application build at various stages and suggest any desired modifications. Feedback loops are generally dynamic in nature and help to ensure that end users and developers are on the same page with respect to the application that's being developed. End users hate to wait for new products, and the longer you make them wait, the worse the adverse impact will be. DevOps accelerates software delivery, which will directly impact and have a positive effect on customer satisfaction. Also, since DevOps streamlines the different aspects of your workflow, you'll be able to offer your products at a lower cost when compared to competitors who don't do DevOps.
Mm-hmm. And the staff at L&Q that went on this training, I wonder if you can highlight for us what they experienced in terms of understanding the end-to-end business life cycle. Was that something that came across, or?
Absolutely, yeah. Without doubt, we were working in silos. Software methodologies preceding DevOps did recognize the value that Dev and Ops and QA teams can bring if they coexist. They didn't lay stress on fostering collaboration amongst other teams. So it wasn't until DevOps came into existence that there was genuine encouragement for collaboration amongst departments, changing how they actually work as a unit. Now, DevOps is an improvisation on lean and agile software development methodologies, as it draws focus towards operations as well. So DevOps promotes an environment where the different teams work together to achieve common organizational objectives. This means that the teams in your organization won't be isolated and won't work towards department-specific goals anymore. However, it should be said, larger enterprises might still use multiple tools to get the job done. DevOps ultimately facilitates collaboration by breaking down the silos amongst the dev, the ops, and the QA teams, encouraging them to work together towards a single goal. This obviously creates more value for your organization, which will ultimately help you deliver more value to your end users.
Yeah, Steve, that's an interesting point. There's a number of best practice frameworks out there, IT service management for, shift left kind of concepts, instant problem change, and bringing those best practices in. And DevOps, like you said, is a culture. But there's also agile development techniques like Scrum, Safe, and Kanban. Do you think the training, how did the training help with those, for staff to appreciate those frameworks?
I was actually quite surprised, the enthusiasm for moving forward with Agile and DevOps across the entire IT organization at the end of the simulation. We've been bouncing around ideas for over a year now and not making any real progress, but we've now got the sponsorship and, following the simulation, a better all-encompassing appreciation of all participants of what's actually required if all bases are going to be covered. Now, rest assured, working collaboratively has its perks. Engineers will no longer care only about how their team can execute their tasks efficiently, because all of them are accountable for the end product. Conversely, it motivates people from different departments to come together and brainstorm the areas of improvement in the operational workflow of a product. Such collaboration also cross-trains your employees. It gives them a chance to extend and upgrade their technical expertise to areas that don't strictly fall under their specialization. So it's a win-win for both your business and your employees.
That's an interesting point, Steve, around what I call, let me phrase it as team building, or what you said is like kind of energize the team. Has this now galvanized your organization to kind of develop an improvement plan and collaborate? I wonder if you can share your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I would say the cloud and infrastructure teams, service management teams, and the business apps teams are really energized now. There's a full appreciation that one of the inherent benefits of DevOps is that it accelerates the pace at which your business generally functions. And it always appears as though we've more on our plate than we can possibly manage. Now we have a different perspective. The faster you release great software, the faster you can embrace the business value of the product features. The time taken for testing a product depends upon the availability of a test environment. For updates, upgrades in software, the testing time is usually reasonably fast due to the presence of a test environment. However, testing a new product consumes a lot of time because the operations team will have to create a test environment. Now, DevOps speeds up the pace at which you deliver your software features and modifications through automated testing and integration. And DevOps makes sure developers keep an eye on the product throughout its entire life cycle for any software updates or bugs. Now, this decreases the time to monitor, locate, and fix bugs, which accelerates time to market. And you can also use value stream mapping in DevOps, which helps you identify production bottlenecks and non-value add processes. You'll be able to work towards fixing them and, as a result, create value far more quickly.
Yeah, that's a great point around lean and reducing waste so that you can do things quicker, faster, and better, and then the tooling to automate. Now, what are the challenges around absorbing changes, going at the correct pace for the business? Again, I wonder if you can give us your insights around how the training helped the staff to understand the pace of change, maybe.
Truth be told, it was an oversight that we didn't engage the business for the simulation. It's essential that the business is engaged and they help to understand that the implementation of DevOps and ITSM best practices can lead to continuous improvement, will help adjust to the requirements of their company over time. When DevOps and ITSM core activities are successfully incorporated with a common objective of delivering high-quality applications that generates value efficiently, there are a multitude of business advantages. So why not have business reps participate in a virtual simulation? I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. And I think, you know, I'm a strong proponent of IT working with the business. And any thoughts around how stakeholder management was kind of amplified from the training? Is that something that you have any thoughts on?
Absolutely essential. Say business engagement, sponsorship, right from the top down, oft repeated. Absolutely essential if this is going to be a success.
Okay, I think one of the if you notice back in the slide that I presented around the platform, there's a bunch of slides that go through this cycle of kind of develop your strategy, define it, consider it, implement it, review it, and then see the impact of it. In the simulation, there's a number of dashboards that show 4 things. One, it shows the impact of your strategy on revenue, impact on profitability of your business, the impact of incidents and the lost revenue from it, and finally customer satisfaction. And those KPIs with those dashboards, because as a simulation plays out after a number of rounds of play, you can see the gradual change in those KPIs round after round, and you know that as you play those rounds, you're effectively maturing your IT function department and learning about whether things you can play. I'm just wondering how those KPIs, how did those KPIs and visualizing those dashboards, what what value did it give to the attendees in terms of measuring IT and business performance?
It certainly ensured their full engagement and added to the level of excitement. Obviously, it developed a very competitive environment. Everybody wanted to win. Everyone wanted to get the best KPIs and metrics and so forth. And as you become more experienced with the simulation and you develop a broader knowledge of what ITSM and DevOps can actually contribute to the key KPIs and metrics associated with DevOps, it really broadened perspectives. It gave everybody an opportunity to consider from a DevOps perspective what the challenges are for the ITSM team. They're not just about process. There are real bases that need to be covered to ensure a successful delivery. And certainly from an ITSM, cloud and infrastructure service management perspective, it gave us a much clearer view of how we could enable DevOps without making the whole process, process bound, overly governed. We could be agile and still achieve positive results.
Sure. What are your next steps now, Steve, having done a number of workshops?
Well, we've now a common consensus that we have to move forward with Agile and DevOps. And we've already selected a number of major projects where we'll run to this framework and where we'll have strict KPIs we'll work to. And at the end of it, it'll be overseen independently. And as we go through each project, we'll concur, we'll collaborate, and we'll ensure that we get the best from the process. And as you can infer from this discussion, and as you'll see through the virtual simulation, that the technical as well as the business benefits of DevOps are absolutely massive. A solid DevOps strategy and successful implementation can entirely streamline your end-to-end delivery pipeline. It starts right from the core software quality all the way to inculcating customer feedback loops to ensure that your products are in line with customer requirements and expectations. Of course, you'll face a lot of challenges along the way, such as the employee mindset barriers and a general resistance to change. And remember, we're talking about cultural change here. But this is where, again, the virtual simulation exercise helps overcome these issues. And once you successfully overcome those initial challenges, DevOps will truly redefine how your business operates. If you don't do DevOps in your organization, you really have to consider adopting its practices. Despite any reasons that might be holding you back, the advantages of DevOps are just too big to ignore. Virtual simulation training enables the mindsets required to make DevOps a success, whilst giving all support teams a better appreciation of how ITSM and DevOps are absolutely essential and, of course, complementary, and will ensure you deliver quicker, better, cheaper, whilst delivering on time, within budget, and to the complete satisfaction of the business more consistently. And just a word to the wise, to really enable DevOps, ITSM, leading practices, just make sure your demand management process and your transition management processes are fit for purpose. Then everything will be fine.
Thank you, Steve, for that summary. I just thought we'd just give everybody the opportunity to see and for us to share our contact details. I haven't got much more to ask you, but just to say if there's any kind of final comments or thoughts that you might have, and you can see from the slide, there are our contact details.
Yeah, I'd simply say stop agonizing over it, go for it, and like the Nike ad, just do it.
With that said, that's a fantastic way of rounding off a fantastic discussion with you, Steve. and being such a strong proponent of ITSM, Agile, and DevOps. I'd like to thank everybody, all the attendees for today, and then just to reiterate, we are available for questions and feedback, and so that we can improve and learn on our presentations. Feel free to reach out, and thank you. Bye-bye.